said massive, you got looped.
All right, well, that's all right. That's what we get on a rainy day like this. All right. Thanks so much for coming. I am Daniel Norton. Welcome to OnSet. Here with Justin in the back. That's on the Mighty Mix. Everybody's not in their spot. I don't know what to do. I'm looking because people are supposed to be in places, they're not there. All right, so today we're going to talk about doing headshots, kind of corporate headshots. And unfortunately, I don't get paid unless I go an hour. So it's called in 30 minutes. So we're just going to kind of milk about half an hour of it. No, but I'm going to walk through this slowly so you can see how to do it. But the idea of this setup is that you're going to be able to get it set up in about 10 minutes flat and then be able to have time to work through your client. It's going to be a kind of a go-to situation depending on, almost anybody is going to look good under this light. I am going to use C-stands on this because that's what we use in this space for safety, but normally when I go on location, I use small stands for this. So we're not booming any lights out. We're not doing anything crazy. We're doing stuff you can do with small portable kit. You can put it in a roller bag, take it with you on location and knock it out, right? Just one thing you want to do when you're shooting headshots or groups, lots of people at once, make sure you're shooting tethered. So we are tethered today into Capture One. People always ask, so I'm using a Nikon Z6 III. This is a 24 to 120 lens. Choose whatever camera and lens you like. That doesn't really matter. I know they like to make you think it does, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's get to it. We have Justin here, who is the CEO of Justin Enterprises.
A very cool looking corporate guy right now.
They all think they're cool looking, that's for sure. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to create basically 3-point lighting, real simple, using light to sculpt the face. Now, in this case, I have a sheet of background paper. You could either, and we'll talk about this a little bit, you could either just use like a plain wall, which is very common, right? They show you, if everybody's ever done this, anybody ever actually done this before? Yeah, welcome to a conference room. We have to shoot across the table, right? Oftentimes just have kind of a plain wall, just get yourself away from it a little bit, let it fall off to gray. It's usually pretty good, no problem. I've seen people like backdrops in, but unless somebody's asking for it, a simple background is probably best. You could do clean white if that's what they're looking for, but that's a whole other demo, and maybe we'll put that on the slate next time, right? But right now we're going to go with a nice clean gray. Go. Something's happening.
You're using a 6.3, right?
This is I think so, unless I grab some else camera. This is an Nikon Z6 III Mark III.
Oh, so
Three.
the links are wrong.
Okay, it says Z2 because I used a 2 for some reason when I did something else. So, all right, the links are wrong. The Z, and I think this is on sale, or the price has been reduced or something. Yeah, it's off like $600. They wait till I buy something, and then they lower the price. So look, whatever I'm getting is good for you. All right, so we're using Profoto lights today, 2 of which are battery powered. This is a B10X Plus. The Plus is because I love you. So these are 500 watt second lights. Probably overkill power-wise, right? Because people often ask, like, how many watt seconds do I need, right? That's a great clickbait title right there. If you're starting a YouTube channel, there you go. That really depends a lot, but you don't need a lot of power, right? You can shoot corporate headshots all day long with speed lights. We've done it, right? Here's the problem. If you have low-powered lights and you're shooting quantity, you're always pushing your lights up, right? So you're pushing them to max power to get that F8 or whatever. Well, you're going to run out of battery quickly. You have to change batteries, you have to carry more gear. So having more powerful lights will give you longer running time because you'll run them at lower power and also faster recycle so you don't miss the moment, okay? We want to work fast when we get people in front of us so that they feel like, they're in and out, right? Nobody wants to sit in front of you when they've got a job to do, right? It's not like they're getting a break, right? It's probably their lunch. They don't want to be there. Every once in a while you get somebody who wants to be there and you're like, come on, get out of here, guy.
You need a dating profile pic.
Exactly, need that dating profile pic. All right, I'm going to take this off the arm because Justin has decided to sit down.
Oh, whatever.
But sitting down is a good option. And the reason why is because, generally speaking, if you have a stool or a seat available to you, you can keep heights kind of the same, right? You won't get that one person who's like 5 foot tall and one person is 6'3". Obviously, there's still a difference when they're sitting down, but it's much less, and you can control that. So if people are willing to sit down, you have that set up, bringing in some kind of stool, or you're grabbing a chair can work. Okay, we're gonna have you move forward a little bit, though.
Okay.
All right, so we're working in our conference room here. Imagine there's a table in the middle, and I'm laying across it. Don't imagine that. Nobody wants to think of that. So we're gonna build this up one light at a time, as I said, and the first thing we wanna do is think about the key light. So the key light is the light that shapes the person's face, in this case, because it's a headshot. We're going to create some shadow on the face to create texture and 3-dimensionality, but we don't want it to be harsh, right? So we're gonna soften the light. We soften the light by making it bigger, right? So this light is about 2.5 inches, right? 2.5 inches, that's about right. So Justin's head, slightly bigger than 2.5 inches, okay? Which means this light is relatively large, relatively small rather, compared to his head. We're gonna get what's called hard light. Hard light is going to create, I'm talking really fast, right? All right. All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah, drink coffee while you're talking fast.
It's been one of those kind of days, right? You get into it, you get pumped up, they fill me full of sugar. Now I'm like, my heart's racing, I'm trying to burn it off. Okay, so when you're talking about hard and soft light, what we're really talking about is shadow transition, right? So a hard light has a hard transition line, right? So your shadow goes from neutral, like your skin tone, let's say, to shadow, really abruptly. That is generally going to bring forward texture, right? And it's often not what we want for a portrait, right? It can be really cool and stark, and go back and watch my thing about how to use hard light for portraits, right? That exists, right? But for this kind of shot, we want it to be more universal, more friendly, more kind of, work for anybody, right? Whether they have really strong features, whether they have, softer features, whether they're old or young, we want kind of more of a simple light. So we're gonna go with the softer light. In order to make the light soft, we need to make it large relative to our subject. So again, 2.5 inches, bigger than 2.5 inches, right? I know it's hard to tell from this distance, but we wanna make the light source larger, and for that, we're gonna use this, this beauty dish here. This is a portable beauty dish. So at first I was gonna use the regular beauty dish that we use here, the hard beauty dish, but realistically, I don't take that on location unless have like assistants and stuff, and we're not always gonna have that when we're going to shoot this kind of work, right? The job doesn't really allow for it sometimes, getting all those people in there. So these are nice because they're portable. Are they the exact same thing? No, they're not. They're not the exact same thing as a hard beauty dish. If you were trying to match a hard beauty dish, you should use a hard beauty dish. If you just want good light, this is gonna be nice, right? What makes it a beauty dish is it says so right on the side. You've got this deflector in the middle. This here is gonna prevent any hot spots. It's white on the interior. This particular one, I asked for white because we're photographing a large variety of different people, Justin, and just Justin. And some people are gonna be shiny, some people are gonna be less shiny. White will be diffused. Diffused is about your highlights, right? If your light has harsh highlights, you need to diffuse it. So being white, it'll be more diffuse. If it was silver, it would be more specular, which is the opposite. All right. I think I covered everything, right? So far, so good? Yeah, I'm not at all confused. Okay. So I'm gonna slide this onto the light, and we're gonna start off this way. Okay. This light is in my A group. So we're using multiple lights, and we're going to use a TTL system, TTL being through the lens metering. Just talking with a young lady last night, I think Eric was as well, and she does various headshots and stuff. She uses a handheld meter. You could also do it that way. Why would somebody use a handheld meter versus the TTL, right? Because they're cool, yes. But the main reason is that a TTL reading, right, the TTL meaning through the lens, right, is it's reading your subject itself, right? It's a reflected reflected reading, right? So I need my subject there in order to get my exposure. If I'm using a handheld meter, it measures the light that's falling on the subject or on the empty chair if they're not there. So with a handheld meter, I can actually set my lights up without a subject here. So if you're in one of those situations where you're really under time crunch, a handheld meter might be useful for you. So I'll show you kind of both ways, right? So we're gonna start with TTL because that is gonna be great if the person's there. You can get the lights roughly in place and then we can do the exposure once they get in the set. You're gonna put your light.
And you charge more for using
You charge more for using light meter, exactly. I mean, you definitely look like you know what you're doing when you have a light meter. Although, whenever you have a light meter, make sure you hold onto it tight, because when you go to put it in front of your subject, they always try to grab it for some reason. I don't know why, they just do it. This light is about 2 feet. Is that right, Eric? 22 inches, or something like that. So you want to put it roughly that distance from your subject. People always ask me that. How far away do I put my light? If you want to get kind of the optimal softness from a light, you want to put it roughly the distance of its size away or closer, right? So this is about the size distance away. That's a good place to start. All right. Yeah, I think are we ready to take a picture? I feel like I'm going slow now. Am I going too slow? Okay, good. Gotta make room for my camera. All right, so I'm gonna be over here. See you guys later. All right.
What kind of company do I run?
Well, you don't really run the company. Let's be honest. Right. Justin does not run the. He hasn't run it for years.
I'm like an associate.
Right. Well, no, you're the CEO. Just nobody respects you.
Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, you think they do though.
I decided to wear for a corporate headshot.
Yeah, they used to respect you, but not anymore. But you're completely unaware of that because of the money.
Yeah, of course.
Money does that to you. Okay, so I'm gonna frame this up with a little bit extra space around him. I know it's shocking if you've been to one of my demos before, because a lot of times if you're shooting a headshot, you want to leave room to crop, right? You might get in and get creative with the crop to suit the subject when you're shooting a regular portrait, but for this kind of shot, we want to leave some space around him, at least in the beginning. I may get in tighter. So I'm gonna basically frame this thing up with a little space over his head. So we're gonna see some odd stuff on the side, but we'll just crop that if we need to. Okay, this is the first light. Now, before we do this, the important thing here is I'm not actually I don't know if you noticed that. I'm not really in a conference room, right? I'm in the YouTube studio being streamed. That's weird. But anyways, maybe you don't shoot in a YouTube studio, but I do. So my settings are not going to be your settings, right? The first thing we want to do is set our camera so that none of the light in the space affects our shot. That spent months, and you can go back through his social media. You'll see all the blood, sweat, and months building the space. These beautiful lights. We're going to get rid of all of it because none of that is what we want in our shot, right? We want that for me so I can look halfway decent on YouTube, but for the photo, we don't want it. So we're going to set our camera so that light goes away. The way we're going to do that is we're going to set our camera to get what I call the black frame, because I'm super original in my titling. And we want to set our camera at the fastest shutter speed in its normal range. We don't do high speed sync around here, at least not today, that's another demo. Our ISO in the lowest within its normal range to give us low noise, but also because we're trying to kill light, right? So we want low ISO. And then we're going to set our f-stop where we remove the light from the space. Now in this case, because it's a headshot, I want to be especially sure that we have enough focus. So I'm probably going to be about f8 to start. Anyways, no matter how dark it was being here, I want to float around f8 because I want to make sure his whole head's in focus. Okay, so we're going to take a shot without the flash. And I am in capture 1 over here. Oh, the screen go dark? What? Oh, my screen's very dark. Okay, okay. So you can see, oh, it's not that my screen's dark; it's a black frame.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Ah, it's one of those days. Okay, so we can see here that there is no image in this area. If we were to grab the exposure slider and bring it over, so we start to get a little skin tone, we got it around there. We're looking at about almost 3 stops underexposed, okay? That's the base of our shadows, right? That gives us room to move with fill lights. It gives us room to kind of pull up our shadows in post if we need to make any adjustments. We want to make sure that we're at least a couple stops under. If I make a shot, the next photo I make, I'm going to use the flash, hopefully. And when I do that, that's going to be our light, right? None of this light in the space is going to affect us at all. So this is in the A group. I already said that, right? I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn off the B group and the C group. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just walk through that. These ProPhoto flashes and many other flashes that use TTL remotes like this, you can put them in various groups. That way you can set various ratios. I like to set my key light in group A. Usually my background light, it would be in group C, or my separation light in group C, and my fill light will be in group B. So we're gonna start with A. All right, let's do this. Okay. That's quite bright.
Are you in TTL?
Okay, yeah, I'm a TTL. Now, this may happen to you. Let's hope not. All right, we'll try again. Oh, also my focus is set weird. Let me put it on human focus. Okay. It's on like cat focus or something, so it's focusing on you. Yeah, it's like I didn't think that you were a cat, but you know.
No, it's like when
one can never
when
tell.
a cat looks like sees me. It's what it
Yeah, that's why you're so bright.
That's why it's so
The
bright.
camera thinks he's a cat.
Do the tapetum lucidum, as they call it?
Exactly. All right. So here we go, focusing. All right. Okay, we're still a little bright.
What is going on here?
All right. So if what's that? Take the remote off, and put it back on. All right. Have you tried taking the remote off and putting it back on? All right. Cool.
Let me just check something.
All right, Seth is checking. Any questions so far? I'll get out of the way. I've learned from many years of, working with computers that when the IT guy starts messing with stuff, you just get out of the way. You don't want to be in the way when they're messing with it. He's over there doing it. That's a good one. All right. All right. Okay, so we know what we're going to do. We're on set, right? We're at a job. And this is acting up, so what are we doing? We're going to cry and go home? I'm sorry, you keep the money, I'm out of here. We're going to make it happen, right? So we got two options here. We can either switch the light, because we have multiple lights, because we're having a goof with the light. If I was smart, I would have had a second remote. Right? And yeah, I do. And if not, then we could just switch over to manual and use the handheld meter. Let's try all those things. And no, I'm not just trying to burn the time so I can get paid for the full hour. Okay, well, let's just do a quick shot with this light and see if it makes a difference. I'm going to move your bag just. All right, we're just going to switch lights for a second to make sure there's not some kind of weirdness in the firmware.
Drink my Evian. That's what
Evian.
people do.
Oh yeah, drink that Evian.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not even trying to change power for the TTO.
It's not respecting us today, but that's okay.
Being a respectful camera.
Okay, so
Changing. Okay, hang on. Now it's changing.
okay.
Just because I'm standing.
I hope you guys have a tech crew like I do. They just come in and do everything. I have no idea how to operate this stuff. I'm just here for my good looks. No? Switch remotes? All right, we'll go on manual.
Go manual.
Well, hold on. I'm going to switch lights first. Let's walk through this process. You didn't realize this. You got tricked into this demo. This is actually how to troubleshoot. Okay, so let's just try the B light and see if that works, please. We're just going to switch to the B light, and we're just going to make sure that it's not just the remote. And it could be a camera issue. The camera could be acting up. It's not happy. It was in Vegas last week. It was happy in Vegas.
Yeah,
Okay, that's also off. Okay, so we're going manual.
Did these have the same firmware on them?
See if I can.
All right.
The same firmware on them with a firmware that was.
Okay. Right now, the YouTube crew is scrubbing the thumbnail, changing it to how to use a light meter. All right. All right, here's a light meter. This is going to read the light falling on our subject, and we're going to control our lights manually, and we're going to set them, all right? Because we don't just give up. We don't accept defeat. The way that you set a light meter is, there's lots of different ways to do it, but I generally set it with the baseline of what I know I'm going to be able to control on my camera. It's not going to change, so I set 200 shutter speed, 100 ISO. Then I'm going to read the light and adjust it until it reaches f8. Like, that's basically the plan. Let's do group A. Like this other light out of the way to not confuse myself and others. All right, so I'm going to point the dome at the light. So that's going to fire it. Press the wrong button. Okay, I'll try that again. Too many buttons on these things. 4.5. Okay, really? I was getting that exposure. Oh, you changed it. Okay. All right, so I'm getting 4.5, f4.5. So if I want to get 5, 6.5 would be one stop more power. 8 would be another half a stop. So I'm at the power on the controller set at 5.1. So I'm going to go to 6.6. That should be a stop and a half more power. Do a little test. Yeah, okay. Let's read this again. Boom. little hot still. So all I'm doing is adjusting my light. Eight, okay. First try. We'll just cut all the rest of the post. So you can't see it, but F8. So in theory, if we don't change anything, because I think I never put it on manual, but I'm going to. Oh, you did. You put it on manual. All right, so meter reads F8, camera reads F8, Justin reads F8. I read an 8th grade reading level. Okay. Boom.
Hey.
All right. I know that wasn't impressive. So that's how you use a handheld meter, right? Simple as that. It's not that complicated. Why is TTL, when it's working for you, better, right? It can be better when things are changing rapidly and you don't want to have to keep reaching in and remetering, right? If you're in a fixed setup like this where the exposure is not going to change, then it doesn't really matter. This meter's perfect. And somebody's going to ask me, because they always do, what if a different subject gets in front of you? It doesn't matter because this meter is reading the light falling on the subject. It will always be the same. No matter what I put there or who, it will always be correctly exposed, you know, at F8. Okay. Does that make sense so far? I know we went sideways there, so hopefully that didn't get too confusing. Okay, try not to die over here too much. So we have our first shot. We got some light bleeding on the background. We got a shadow. We have all kinds of fun stuff. You know, because we were messing around, I kind of changed the position I originally had the light in, and I'm not super satisfied with it, so I'm gonna switch that. Now, a little tip here. What matters is the distance of the light, right? So if I keep the light the same distance, I can move it around a bit and the exposure won't change much. Okay, if I start really moving the light, the exposure will change. So I am gonna get closer, so it is gonna change. And I'm gonna basically bring it down a little bit like this. So we're gonna have to remeter it. Okay. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, we're gonna remeter it. Yeah, 10. So that's like 2/3 of a stop. So I'm gonna come down. All right, so we'll take a shot. I adjusted the power of the light right there. See that? Now, our shadow's way back here. Nobody cares about it. Justin's looking pretty good, right? We have nice shape and shadow to his face. Now we got a nice, good key light, right? This is giving us a basic idea. If he moves around, like you can sit back up a little bit, he will come out of this light a little bit, so we have to be somewhat careful, right? So he's still lit, but the exact angle of the shadows won't be the same. It's still fine, so don't be like you can't do it, but just be wary that he is moving within the shot. Yeah, it's coming, must be coming from spill from the beauty dish, I guess. By the way, I was informed, now we're testing this live, all right, that this beauty dish here was designed to give the perfect catch light. Oh, that is really nice. Huh? Well worth it. That's what I was told.
Leave him alone. I just want to see something.
This is what they told me. All right. Yeah. That's the edge of the light, right? If you don't want that in the background, too bad. No, we'll have to adjust. I like the way the light looks on him, so that's not going to bother me. Maybe, though, it bothers you. And if that's the case, we're going to want to light the background or move him. You know what? Let me see if we get rid of it. I say that. Let's get rid of it. We're going to troubleshoot. We're in troubleshooting mode today.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, in order to not have this hit him, we're going to have to go like that.
stuff happens.
Yeah, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. All right.
Whoever.
It's always Justin, by the way. It's this works.
No, I'll turn me in. Yeah.
Well,
The chat is saying that Justin, not the model, Justin, we introduced him properly, guys. Looks like the son of Brad Pitt and Benicio del Toro, if they could get each other pregnant somehow.
Get that. It's two very nice things to get.
would you rather act like?
Okay.
I just have one.
All right. I like this. Actually, I'm not going to worry about the light in the background. Nobody cares about that right now. Let's just keep going.
Oh, that's a great candid shot.
Yeah. Let's get our second, thank you. Let's get our second light in. So I'm going to add a separation light. And part of the reason why I'm doing this next is because these two lights are the ones that aren't going to change really. Like you could change them a little bit, but generally speaking, they're going to mostly stay the same. But also I want to make sure that I'm happy with that light on the background. I said I was happy with it. This will make all the difference. Once we add the separation light, it might feel natural and organic. It might be terrible. And then if it's terrible, we'll deal with it. All right. This light is in my B group, hopefully. Yeah, it is. Okay. And I'm going to add to this a strip. So the strip box is your classic box for the separation light because it gives you control as far as the spread of the light side to side, more control. But it's not so gigantic. You're not like wasting light. Now you can do this with the regular softbox, but what's going to happen is you're going to be throwing so much of your light out this way, you're kind of wasting light, right? And Wasting Light was my second album, and it did not do as well. So, all right. So, plus it's cool to have different shapes. You know, it's gonna be like, oh, what's this? There's different shapes. This one's a strip. Now this one is convertible because you can do it this way or that way. Charge extra for that. All right. So we're gonna put this on here. Uh-oh. Well. Okay, here we go. As I mentioned at the beginning, they only pay me if I go a full hour, so you're getting an hour out of this. I'm taking off the arms mostly because we're kind of trying to simulate regular stands. You know, we're not going to use any of the qualities of a C-stand in this. So we're going to bring this in. And what we want to do is, with our separation light, is we want to give him kind of a slash of light across the front. Okay? So we don't want to put it directly behind him. We want to kind of hit the side of his face. Let me turn this on. This is my B group. I'll put the mono light on so you guys can see. Yeah, that's nice. You know, in typical demo fashion, I'm just going to turn off the main light so you can see the difference. Now, if you're trying to work quickly because they're rushing me in the chat, and you're using a light meter, one good idea with your hair light is just to set it at the same power as your key light, just as a starting point. So I'm showing you multiple ways to do this. TTL, which did not work for us because we had some weirdness, meter, and now we're going to kind of just go with it, right? So this light is in a different modifier. It's also further away, but it's coming from the back, so it's going to seem brighter. So I'm going to set it at the same exact power. That's not the same exact exposure, right? And I'm going to show you that now. Okay, we can see how it's actually brighter, right? Even though it's a bigger modifier further away, it feels brighter because it's coming from the back, right? I'm also going to get this thing out of the shot. Slightly in my shot. It also rotates. No extra charge for that. All right. We're going to leave it here for a second. So you see how I did that? I have my key light set up. I wanted to get a baseline for my second light. I just set it at the same power, not the same exposure, the same power. In fact, if we meter it, we get 4.5, right? The meter is telling us that that light coming from the back is a stop and a half less than the light coming from the front. But when you're looking at it there, it looks really bright, right? Once we put them together, both lights together, right? We can see that now it blends in really nicely and gives that little bit of separation, right? He's looking super goofy, which is exactly what you want with a corporate shot.
The dude that crossed their arms, smile, right?
Yeah, no, you got it. You're nailing it.
Estate, like, hey,
Yeah.
buy a house.
No, yeah, nobody trusts you. All right, good, perfect. So I like.
You look like you're on White Lotus.
Yeah.
I want to be on white.
Yeah. So I like putting my separation light on the opposite side of my key light. I think it helps to build depth. Some people prefer to put it on the same side. That is a decision that you can make depending on your own style, right? But just so you know, because that's often a question I get, I like to put it on the opposite side. It also, in some cases, like in the case of Justin, I might not use a fill light at all because this is working for him. Like a little more of a tough light works for him. So this gives me a situation where he's not too shadowy on one side of his face because it kind of fills in on that shadow. Does that make sense so far? But I'll show you on the other side just because, you know, we're full service around here. Yeah, you know. It's gonna be a little trickier. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave the power the same. It's a little closer to him now. Because I just want to kind of go with it. Yeah, there we go. Boom, right? That also looks nice, right? It's much more subtle, okay? Versus here. So personally, I like the opposite. I think it works better. Same side, opposite side. See the difference? Right? But it's up to you, whatever you like. Dealer's choice, as they say. Also, you may be forced to do this if you're in a very small space. And so it's not a bad thing. I just find that this works better for me. That all make sense so far? All right, cool. So if we remove, you know, the various, especially the good jokes, it's stuff, we're only like 15 minutes left. Okay, the final light we're gonna add to this is gonna be a fill light. This fill light is gonna really be the key here. Not the key light, because we already have a key light. When you set up a proper fill light, that's gonna allow you to use the same lighting with a lot of different types of people. The fill light is gonna help make gentle the shadows on people that need it, right? So the best place to place your fill light is behind the camera in this situation. So we're gonna put it, you know, behind me. Now, normally, you wouldn't necessarily wanna put your light behind the camera because that's gonna create flat light, right? And flat light is generally not what we're going for if we're trying to make something interesting. But this is not our key light. This is the fill light. So we want the fill light to be uninteresting. We want it to just be there, kind of breaking up the shadows, right? So I'm gonna move it over here. I'm gonna use for this a 2x3 softbox. So this one is, if you only have one softbox, like you're just starting, this is the one to get, right? 2x3, all around standard size. If you think softbox is the size you're thinking, right? This is great for a single person. You can get away with 2 people with it. This one is also adjustable. You can put it sideways, right? And you got a lot of stuff. In fact, we're going to use it sideways.
Who says that's sideways?
Well, because the way the words are written. The most important thing when placing a softbox is where the words are written so the clients can, you know, can see it. They know you have those ProPhoto softboxes.
Yeah, now they Google the name and go, oh, those are expensive. All right.
Right, exactly. They're like, oh, wow, he's not messing around with the ProPhoto softbox.
So question.
Okay.
Is it a good idea to put your subject on a stool for corporate shots?
Okay, so is it a good idea to put my subject on a stool? I mean, that really depends. I find a chair can be helpful when you're shooting a lot of people because the chair is going to keep everybody roughly the same height. However, you can get people that are fidgety on stools. So I don't recommend a stool that spins, especially if you're shooting, you know, 10-year-olds or corporate people. All right, so here's the fill light. This is in my C group. I'm gonna turn off A and B. I'm gonna turn C on, and I'm gonna set it again at the same power. Again, bigger box, further away. Now, it's gonna wrap around, and in this initial shot, we're gonna see some shadow and stuff, but it won't be there when we do the final shot. Oh, actually, that's pretty good exposure. Okay, so let me make it look bad first. Oops, there we go. Okay, so you can see the flat light, right? This is very ugly. I mean, aside from the fact the exposure is bad, this is bad, right? But it's bad because we're filling in, right? We're putting the light where the shadow should be. You're basically shooting, if this looks great, like if you shoot your fill light and it looks amazing, then it's in the wrong place because you're shaping the face and you don't want to shape your face with the fill light. You just want to fill with the fill light. I guess that makes sense. I might raise it a tiny bit. Now, if you like this, that's also fine. You're allowed to be wrong. Okay. Let's get back to a proper exposure. Okay. All right. All right, yes. All right, guys. Just got back from Vegas. It feels like I just got back. All right, so when you're setting up your fill light, generally speaking, 2 stops under your key is a good place to be. So again, I'm not using TTL, so I have to do this with a manual meter. So I'm gonna use my light meter and I wanna read 2 stops under F8, meaning that it will be underexposed when I shoot at F8, right? So 1 stop would be 11, 2 stops would be 16, right? Nope, the other way around. That'd be over. 4. Okay, 5.2. So I'm trying to read F4. Did my math backwards. All right, 3.6. So I'm just adjusting this until I get F4, which again is 2 stops under F8, right? Yep, F4, okay. Oh, I just clicked again, but it was reading F4. So we're reading F4 on this light, right? We're at reading 4.5 on this light. So again, a stop and a half underexposed, even though it does look bright, right? Angles matter. And then on this light, we're reading F8. We're also exposing at F8. So when you use a meter like this and you're setting ratios, it's a good way to kind of understand the light is by thinking about what it's reading and what you're exposing at. You're always exposing at F8, right? Because that's what our camera's set at. So this is on exposure, right? This is under exposure by 1.5 stops. This is under exposure by 2 stops. That makes sense? All right, let's take a shot. All right, Justin. All right, beautiful. Bring your face this way a little bit. Good, nice. No crossed arms now? You lost your whole corporate structure.
Crossed arm real estate guy?
Yeah. All right, this is where you now play your part.
You're selling an MLM. Look at you.
He's definitely selling an MLM.
You make money. Your friend makes money. We all make money.
Yeah.
Same
You
way.
just get more people to buy this energy drink.
Herbal Life, man.
Oh my God, Herbal Life.
Herbal life.
Have you tried Avon?
Right. So we can see that we're got nice, simple light that he can move around a little bit within. We have some shadow to shape his face. We've got that highlight coming back around. Perfect catch lights. And a fill light. All right, let me just bring the fill light up a bit so I can show you guys how I can drop the shadows a bit, okay? This is 2 stops under right now at 7.2. So I'm gonna go down to it and I'm gonna raise it to, I'll raise it a stop, 8.2. So this is gonna bring our fill light up a little bit. And keep in mind that when I'm standing in front of it, obviously I'm affecting it, so that has to be consistent. If all of a sudden I'm standing over there using a remote, the fill light's gonna be different. So we can see with the fill light raised up, you know, versus not, right? We got more shadow, we got less shadow, a little flatter, right? So depending on what you're going for here, right? Goofy. No, that was just, you've got the setup. Now this will work, like I said, just about any type of person. It's real easy. 1, 2, 3, and I mean, obviously I spent time setting it up because we're talking through it, but you get your key light set up on exposure. Your separation light, basically you want it to be so that it looks natural, usually a stop and a half under, which is where you saw it fall. This light's gonna be about 2 stops under. That'll get you roughly where you wanna start. Make notes of this. Obviously, we've got other factors going on in here because of the light being in the shot and stuff because it's a small space, but now that we have that basic shot down and it's, yeah, we're way ahead of schedule. Who said we're off schedule? Somebody said that online. Who are these people? Let's start messing with this a little bit. So that's our basic setup. But if we want to go even more kind of simple, or let's say we don't like the background not being like lit, or we want to change some other things, we can still use these same 3 lights to create other setups. I can switch this light, right, what I'm using as a key now, to a hair light if I want. If I'm only doing head and shoulders, that will work, right? We are still going to lose a little bit of light because it's round, right? And we're going to lose those beautiful catch lights. Question.
Hi, Daniel. Isn't this rim separation light too hot or strong?
Isn't the rim separation light too hot or strong? No. So here's the thing. That comes down to taste, right? I think it looks great. I mean, to me, that's like a really clean shot with some detail, right? If you want it to be turned down, you can definitely do that. These are starting points, so we can do that. We'll turn it down the next shot. So let's make this guy the background. Let's take our key light away and let's just light our background. So let's say we do have a background that we want to light. We're just going to light it relatively evenly with this light, okay? This is now no longer our key light, it's our background light, right? So let's start here because we're messing with it and we'll go from there. So we're going to show you another quick setup. So we're going to turn off. Now, normally what I would do, if I was planning on doing different setups like this, is I would switch the modifiers. So I was always A, B, and C in the right direction. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Hang on. All right, but I'm not going to bother with that. That's going to light our background. That's our A light currently. So let's turn off the other two lights. Let's get our A light set. You know, I'm risking it and I'm putting it back in TTL. Oh, the other light went off too for some reason. Okay, that was not the intended result. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right, so switching to manual. So the reason why I did this is I'm shooting in Capture One, and when I'm here, right, I can look at my exposure and make adjustments. So I just wanted to blast the background with light and just get it in a place where I could look at it. But now, forgetting about him for a second, I'm just gonna look at the background. With one light like this in a small space, it's gonna be nearly impossible to get evenly whites. That's not my goal. What I'm gonna try to do is get a nice gradation. So I'm gonna grab my exposure slider like I did before. Again, ignore him, just look at the background. And I'm gonna get the background to a place where I think looks kind of nice, like maybe like around there. And we're looking at about a stop and a half. So I'll come over to my light and I'll just turn it down a stop and a half. So that now I'm down to 7.4. Okay. Basic background lit, relatively even, right? Now we're gonna come in and we're gonna shape him, right? I haven't changed the settings in my camera. So this light, if it remains the same, will give us that same, maybe overly bright. We'll see separation light. We'll see how it looks in this situation. We'll leave this light in place. That's the B light. Right? Actually, I'm gonna move it a little bit. I'm just gonna move it slightly this way. And we're gonna turn it down a smidge, right? Now, one thing that I will say is don't mess around too long with getting individual lights perfect, except for your key light maybe, until you have all your lights in place, because they will affect the shot. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We're not burning out any highlight. And he's looking nice. So now let's bring this light. Remember I said you're only gonna have one softbox? 2x3? Well, this is your classic kind of portrait softbox. So when we bring this guy in, we can come across. They don't call this portrait mode for nothing. So I went to, sorry. All right, we're gonna go into portrait mode. I don't know. We're just hanging out here doing our thing. All right. This is in the C group.
You get all your tips from your printer.
Right.
It's like,
All right. I'm going to set this light to F8. Again, we're using a light meter today. So we're going to set our meter up, 200th of a second, 100 ISO. Point the light at the meter at the light. It's reading 16 currently, so I'm going to turn it down 2 stops. Oh, hey, Ab.
Yes, Ab, that is a Sekonic light meter.
Yes, Ab. This is the Sekonic 358DU. Okay, this is a great light meter. All right. All right. All right, so now we got our key light set up. This is our rectangular softbox. This is our rectangular subject, and we're going to shoot. Okay. Oh, look at that. There's Justin, looking like a person shot with a rectangular softbox, right? It's a classic portrait, right? Done. Let's fire the other lights up and see where they sit, and then we'll make some adjustments.
Are you looking for supplements?
I am looking for supplements, actually. Okay, right? You see how that kind of comes up? Why didn't the background light flare? All right, background light. Why gotta be like that? All right. There she is, okay. There it is, okay. So now we're gonna look, right? Catch light, not perfect, you know? No, this has that rectangular catch light, almost like a window, right? Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, that separation light is hot, right? Because to me, when my background's lighter, I don't want my separation light to be so bright. I want it to be more subtle. So now to the commenter, you know, I can come in here and turn that down. That's in my B group. It's at 5.5 now. I'm gonna turn it down half a stop to 5. Again, you could just, this requires a little bit of practice and kind of being able to see things without seeing other things. If you want to use Capture One, you can look just at the highlight. Again, you have to ignore everything else. So I'm changing the exposure of the entire scene. But if I just look at the highlight and I drop it half a stop, I could also do subject selection so it won't change the background. You know what? I think I'm going to go 0.7. You know why? Because I can. Exactly. All right. I went 0.7. Cool. Oh, it worked. Good. Of course, I knew it would work. Okay. No, perfect. No, but you see how I did that? I was just looking at the highlight. That's the key. Because sometimes people will do this and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to look at this and go down. And they'll start going down and then they'll be like, oh no, that looks bad. Because they're looking at the whole thing. But I don't care about the whole thing. I only care about changing that one light. So I have to focus on that. Okay? So since we're focusing on that, we're here. I think that looks pretty good. You know, Justin's looking pretty sharp. Let's get some, you know, you're looking good, sir. Yes. I see why you run this company. You know, he's posing and he's doing a corporate thing and he's like, aha.
You're fired.
You point at the camera like, yeah, there we go.
Phone case for everyone.
You know. Okay, so questions, right? Another simple setup, right? Here we're going with more classic rectangular softbox, keeping the separation light, which I always love, and we're lighting the background. Now, again, this paper is, I thought we were supposed to get a new roll this year. This is still last year's paper. It's a little wrinkly, right? This is stock photography right here. You know, assuming you didn't have wrinkly paper, like this is pretty nice, right? So questions, thoughts, concerns, anecdotes? Yep.
Would you reposition your separation line if you had to be a lady with her hair down instead of like more in her?
Okay, yes, that's a good question. So what about hair? Like if somebody has like long hair, do we need to change the light? I would only change it if the light is throwing a shadow onto her face. Typically with longer hair, what you're gonna wanna do is feather the separation light out a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily change the position, but I'd feather it out a little bit more so it just catches the edge of it so you get that kind of glow. What you don't want to do is shoot back and get in front of their face. That's a very good point too, because one thing you wanna watch out for with the separation light is that it doesn't come too much in front and hit too much of their nose, because that can happen. It's like barely touching his nose there and he's not very shiny, so it's not obvious. But if it's coming too far in the front, it can hit their nose and then that can look distracting. So we want to make sure that that's not doing that. In this case, I have it at a pretty extreme angle because of the small space. Yes,
Glasses that
I am wearing glasses.
you're wearing glasses that you see the entire softbox in the glass.
Would I? Do you have glasses, Justin?
I actually do usually bring.
Somebody have glasses out there?
Well, first of all, the
you mind
reason you're
sitting in
not
for a
seeing
second,
the
sir?
glasses because the angles the light are at relative to the lens. That's why you're not seeing it at all.
Right. We're going to bring some in this. Actually, sorry, Justin, much better looking guy.
Yeah. I can refer you to my manager.
This is like old school here. This is
A
startup.
round of applause for one of your own. One of your own, everyone.
He's got a startup AI, some kind of app, right? Something like that. Okay, so
This whole stream is AI. What are you
Right,
talking about? None of this
that's
is
true.
real.
okay, so if we have the subject look at the light source, right? So look right at the light source with your whole face. Then we will see the softbox reflects, right? Right. If we have the subject look more towards the camera, we should be fine. You're a little taller, so boom, nothing. Okay, the angle of incident equals the angle of reflectance. Say that to clients, they get confused. So basically what that means is the glasses are only going to see what they see, right? If they look right at the light, then sure, you're going to see it. If they are not looking at the light, then you're not going to see it, right?
Look at those perfect catch ups.
I mean, and those catch light is beautiful. Well done, sir. Thank you.
Did a better job.
All right, he did actually. One shot, he was done. Okay, you see, so and even in the first shot, you see it a little bit. It might not bother you. It kind of depends on style, yeah.
To be fair, that's really how corporate headshots are going to go.
Yeah.
Someone's going to sit for 3 frames, and then someone else is going to sit for 3 frames. That literally is what's going to happen.
Right.
So you're going to have shiny heads. You're going to have glasses. The key is to mitigate that before they even sit down.
Right. So we're working with a light that pretty much will work with anybody. I mean, I didn't change the camera. I should have come up a little bit to not chop off the top of your head because we want to leave space. We want to keep things consistent. A lot of times, too, they might say, hey, on our we need to square images, and we would actually set up a framing in Capture One so they'd see them square at the time, right? But yeah, glasses are a common question, and the real trick to it is in order for the light, you have to think of the angles, right? If the light is hitting the glasses and then bouncing off, then it'll go into the lens. If the light is not hitting the glasses, then it won't go in, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Other questions? I'm glad that worked, man. Sometimes, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, there are some glasses that reflect really badly, and you just can't do much about it. In that case, you want to work their face away from the light as much as possible. Like my glasses are very thick, so that if in the case of me, straight on, it's probably fine. But if I started working more towards the side when he was laughing, you would get the side of my glasses.
Go ahead.
I actually need a new headshot. All right.
This is all your lights. It's not my. This sucks.
Well, it's a good light then.
Oh man, your head was amazing.
Right. I don't
Work
see
it.
anything.
Give it to me, girl.
Okay, well, give him a good
Yes.
hair.
Oh, show it. Yes. Oh, yes. More
But if I come this way, you'll
Howdy. You want to be famous, don't you? Okay.
Okay. That's how you don't do it. But you can see since my glasses are particularly thick, if you go really far to the side like that, you're going to start to see a little bit. So you just want to just watch for it. You know, you can usually see it. The modeling lights will help. Shoot tethered. You're good. You know, but generally speaking, if you keep your light at an angle that's not the same angle as the camera, light will bounce in and won't come that way, right? Because it'll go like this and like that. That's why the angle of incidence equals angles of reflections. Yeah.
Someone in the chat's asking, do you need to make any changes for darker skin tones?
I do not need to make changes for darker skin tone. Is there anybody with darker skin tone that would like to volunteer to come up? Nobody. All right, here we go. All right. And glasses. All right, no, you got it. This is everything. We could have brought this one
Round of
good-looking
applause
gentleman
for the
up here.
brave soul. Round of applause.
All right, so
Wow, you guys have no supportive community. It's insane. Jeez.
they're all like, oh, it wasn't me. Okay. So here we have the good-looking gentleman. You can face towards me. Don't be afraid. You're not afraid. You actually, there you go, chin down a little bit. All right. Boom, right? Again, glasses, we got a little bit of reflection, right? If we have that reflection, right, we can have you do what you originally did. You knew what you were doing. Just turn you a little bit this way with your face. There you go. And we can do that, right? You can also slightly adjust the light if you wanted to. Again, depends on what you're shooting, right? In this angle, we're not seeing anything. Skin tone wise, the trick to knowing if you have the right skin tone is you look at then you go. Yep, perfect. Good. That looks like him, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. We're measuring the amount of light falling on the subject. It doesn't matter who goes in front of my camera. It will always be correct. That is the exposure, right? Does that make sense? Good job. Thank you, sir.
If you run into the glasses reflection and it's still bothering you, it's always at least a better idea to go a little higher.
Yes.
And pitch down, because the more you're getting it out of the way of the lens, the less likely it is to reflect back. So
Right.
higher pitch down, you know?
Yeah.
That's usually why people do like 5-foot umbrellas with a giant sock on it.
Yeah. So if you like in that situation, if I needed that gentleman to face forward, I would have just raised the light and it would have went away, because it just has to be so you can't see it. That's it. Other questions?
You guys are all going to make a mint getting your clients now? You're going to go get some
So-
corporate headshot jobs?
So again, I took my time walking through this so you'd see how you build this up, but it's a pretty simple setup. You come in, you want to set your key light first. Your key light is generally going to always be on exposure, right? So whatever the exposure is to get the room dark. That is to get rid of all the light in the space, right? Obviously, try to work in a space where you don't have to go to like F16. There's not big windows or whatever, unless you plan on using that for your shot, right? Get the exposure so there's no light available in the space so they can see, right? So it's gone, right? We eliminate the light in the space. Next, we set our key light to the proper exposure. In this case, F8, that's good. Then we bring all our other lights into supplement. We want our separation light to be slightly brighter appearing than our key light, not exposed, right? Not power-wise, but appearing. And we want our fill light to be under our key light so that we can fill in any shadows so we have less harsh shadows. Does that make sense? And that's it. Once you're set up, anybody can sit here. We saw a really good-looking person, an even better-looking person. We saw Justin. You know, but basically, anybody can sit here and it will always look even and perfect and good, right? We're not going for the most artistic shot in the world. We're looking for clean shots that people need for things like LinkedIn, for their company websites and things like that, right? This is the commercial part of the thing, right? If you get somebody really cool in front of your lens and you want to do something fun with them, you can always do that, right? You can always do something with posing or emotion or playing around, but keep the light nice and simple, right? Yep.
Someone's asking, so if you have on-access fill, you might get reflections in the glasses.
If you have non-access fill, you might get reflection glasses. Probably not, because it's going to be such a low exposure. And also generally you're going to have it slightly above. So no, I mean, it shouldn't happen, but it could. And if that happens, have them tip their chin down or something and you won't. Again, reflection is important. Most people's glasses aren't flat, right? They've got some angle to them. So you can work that in the shot.
Also, it's something like a giant umbrella behind you.
Yeah.
It's bigger than your subject. You won't actually see the highlight because you're exposed for the highlight.
Right. I mean, that's the way we used to shoot glasses, was you would actually, like sunglasses and stuff, is you would actually use such a large light source that the entire lens was in fact reflecting, but you couldn't see that it was a reflection because the whole thing was a reflection. Right. And that's how you did it.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll do that next time. There's a lot of next times here. Are you making notes? I hope so. Any questions? This seemed like it was valuable. I'm thinking this year I'm going to do some of these like quick, like these are things you can do to like do quick shots to get a little revenue, you know, get your business going. If that's something you want to see more of, let me know. Comment if you're online or just let me know here. I figure this is good. A lot of people are wondering where to start. This is the place, right? We all do these awesome creative shots on our own to build these amazing portfolios, but what do you do when you actually have a corporate guy in front of you and you want to get that shot that they want, right? And not necessarily the cool Instagram shot. Other questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes. What's this YouTube? This is Adorama TV. My YouTube is Daniel Norton.
There's two channels.
Oh, and there's also Adorama Events.
There's two channels. Adorama TV is our main channel. You'll get about a video, or if not 2 videos a day. It's 15 years old, 5,000 videos on there. Adorama Events, 2 years old. Everything that's streamed out of here goes to the Adorama Events channel. And then if you really want, Adorama Cinema for all your cinema needs. They only play movies. No, they actually they go through how to film movies. So
Yeah, if you're interested in.
and that's a QR code on that screen if you want to follow the events channel. Any other questions, guys? Because it's getting awkward with this sign up for the 4th time. You gonna sign off?
Nothing. I got it. The questions keep coming up. All right. So I will be back in 2 weeks. Seth's going to tell you all kinds of other stuff that's coming up that I don't remember. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is Adorama TV. Sign up. This is Adorama Events. As Seth said, this is Justin.
Hey.
He's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. This is Seth.
Justin C. Schilling.
Oh, right. Yeah, give you your information.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow Justin, he's been here forever. Seth, he's last ex witness. The X is silent. I'm Daniel Norton. This is Adorama TV. Go home.
Thanks, guys. Hit subscribe and, pay attention to the Adorama Events page if you guys want to stay up on what's coming up next. We'll see you next time. Later, guys. Bye.